Hi, Jason Spangler here, the SanteeSwapper, back with another unboxing. And this time I have a box that's sent to me on preview, but this is from a return customer. It turns out, unfortunately, this scouter is having some health troubles. And so he had sent me a box from Michigan a while back, actually recorded an unboxing and shared it with you guys. And now he has sent me another unboxing after he's gotten out of the hospital with some other health problems. And so I'm going to open up this box today, go through it, and then make him a fair offer to purchase it. Looking forward to seeing what he's got in the box. Last time, there was a lot of stuff that he had traded for, sort of in the 2000s, going to NOACs and things like that. So always good stuff for me. Let's get into this box and see what we can find. Okay, I'm going to show you everything that came in the box that will fit under my camera. And so this is interesting because this is much more of a traditional collection that I see. I mentioned previously when I started that he had sent me stuff that he traded for at some of these big national conferences. But this box is really focused on his home lodge, his home council, and camp. And I've said before in previous unboxings, that's really what people tend to focus on when they're collecting. So you can see, for example, that his council is the Hiawathaland Council. He has several CSPs, red and white strips, and then here are some JSPs, Jamboree shoulder patches, and you'll notice that a couple of those are twills, and then there's a couple of solids underneath there. So that is a little interesting that they had two different varieties that year. And then also here you can see these Hiawathaland Council strips. Then he had a little run of these. Let me add them to the pile. These are kind of a smaller size, really like not a standard size for what you normally see. So I'll have to kind of look that one up and see. That may just be something kind of interesting that they did at one point. And then he's also got some of these guys, which are 50 years of scouting from 1995. Kind of an SAP or special issue shoulder patch for his council. Then he had a lot of camp patches. So if it's, Hiawathaland Council, you might imagine that the name of the camp is Camp Hiawatha. So we'll play these up here and let you guys see them. All right, so there are a bunch of patches from his council and also the camp. And here's a really cool one. I like that patch, actually. I've also got some other event patches here. So definitely it looks like this is the box he was holding on to where he wanted to send me perhaps the things that he had kept from his council and his lodge. And some of these are kind of older, like there's a cut edge and that kind of stuff. So kind of some fun stuff there. There's a little bit of random OA, like here's some neckerchief slides that he included. Here's a little hat pin that came along, and also some insignia. So obviously this guy would have been a scoutmaster because he's got these guys here. That's the patch from the 1970s where if you were a trained leader, you got that one. And then as a collector, he probably collected some more of these scoutmaster patches. So he would have the one from the 1960s and then later in the 60s when they added the word scoutmaster. And then also this little guy here, there's a scoutmaster collar brass pin that he had. And he did not mention being an Eagle Scout, but here's sort of that 1970s, late 70s, early 80s Eagle Scout patch to go along with it. So let me slide this stuff out of the way. All right, so of course, along with that, I mentioned he was going to include his Order of the Arrow items. And so there's some cool flaps here. For those of you who are maybe a little new to collecting, this is kind of what collectors do. They're going to want to collect all of the flaps from their home lodge. And so you can see here, his lodge is called Agam Lodge 156. Now this lodge has been merged, which is to say that it no longer exists. It's been merged together with other councils and other lodges. And so this one, there's kind of a beginning point and an end point. But you can see here there was a flap for the 1986 National OA Conference, the 1988 National OA Conference, the 1992 National OA Conference. This is kind of what you see a lot. Now here's another one here for NOAC 1990. This anniversary one for 89, and then this is one from 1996. Also, there's some older ones here, definitely ones he collected. Here's one, I think he might have got this on eBay. There's a sticker on the back suggesting that one came off eBay. You can see that this one does not have a fleur-de-lis, and so that's one kind of clue that this is an older one from a before generation. I can show you another one just to give you another example. Like here's an example, again, with the fleur-de-lis, and then I'm going to throw open one that does not have a fleur-de-lis. And the fleur-de-lis is something that was added, I always say around between like 73, 74, 75. I could be getting that wrong, the exact date, but basically in the early 70s, they wanted all of the Boy Scout patches to have this copyrighted fleur-de-lis or the words BSA, as you see here, or you could spell out Boy Scouts of America. So this is a good example of how that evolves from this flap, which would have been early 1970s. If I turn it over, this is going to be a cloth back, Swiss embroidered flap. And then maybe around 73, early 70s, when they go to this, they just simply kept their same design and they stuck on a fleur-de-lis, and in this case, they added the BSA. But he does have much older flap. Check out that guy right there. And then he also has this one right here, which has been sewn. So these are much, much older cut-edge twills, possibly from the 1950s. So these would have been, and I haven't tried to look him up or see if he has any identification on the back. Let me see if he has any stickers on the back just to help me cheat. He does not. But my guessing is that this, typically a cut-edge twill is going to be probably the F1, so the first flap. And he might just have two of these. This one's in mint condition, and this one's been sewn. So these are kind of like, the ooh-ah patches, if you will, for most people, the first flaps. And then interestingly, here's something I'm going to have to look up. He has this Distinguished Service Award, and there's actually a couple different varieties here. So you can see there's some slight differences between these two. I'm not familiar enough with his lodge to kind of know exactly what the differences are, but you can see there's two different patches there. So, again, a cool collection. Oh, a couple of more things let me throw on there. He's got some rounds, and he had several of those, which are cool to see. And then if we go back even further, he has this one. So round patches, of course, would have gone on the pocket of the shirt. Potentially this one would have been the R1. And so this, sometimes with lodges, something like a round would have been their first issue, and then the twill flap would have come later. But I'll have to look and see what the Blue Book suggests would have been the first issue. So anyways, altogether, this is a cool collection. I'm happy to show it to you. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I tried to give you a little bit of history of how these patches changed over time, which is cool to see when you have a collection that's simply just focused on one lodge, which is what he had, of course. And so, again, unfortunate circumstances that he had to send me some stuff, but I love the idea that he's just trying to pass it on to the next generation. Again, what I'll do is kind of go and evaluate these items and make him a fair offer to purchase. Since we've already done business before and we worked out a deal the first time with no problems, I'm sure that he'll be agreeable to the offer that I'll send him. My name is Jason Spangler. This is what I do. I collect scouting memorabilia. I help find a new home for it. If you have a collection like this that's sitting in a box, sitting in an attic, sitting in a basement, reach out to me. Go to my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. There you can find my contact information. Give me a phone call. Send me a text message. Send me an email. Whatever works for you. I'll be glad to talk to you about your scouting memorabilia, whether it's yours or belong to a family member, and see if I can help you get it recycled back into scouting. Appreciate you watching the video.